Good evening, one and all. We welcome you all to the international webinar series on holistic health, well-being, and sustainable development 2015-2030. The series 2022-2023 commemorating Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav, nation celebrating 75 years of independence, India's G20 presidency, United Nations Sustainable Development Goals 2015 to 2030 as part of awareness and campaigns in collaboration with Sri Holistic Health Foundation India and Sri Research Institute Center for Arts, Sciences and Wellbeing. Before we start our sessions, let's take the blessings of Almighty.
कुरुत्वं कल्याणम् आरोग्यं धनसम्पदः शुभं कुरुत्वं कल्याणम् आरोग्यं धनसम्पदः शत्रुबुद्धिविनाशाय दीपज्योतिर्नमोऽस्तुते दीपज्योतिर्नमोऽस्तुते शुभं कुरुत्वं कल्याणम् आरोग्यं धनसम्पदः शुभं कुरुत्वं कल्याणम् आरोग्यं धनसम्पदः.
With the blessings of Almighty, we shall continue with today's sessions and commemorations. Today, we are celebrating World Zoonosis Day. We have seen the pandemics which were prevailing or which has created disasters were due to zoonosis diseases. Zoonotic means human beings consuming animals and birds and getting diseases from them. All these bird flu, swine flu, even COVID-19 also is because of humans consuming meat from animals and birds. So we have seen, lot of issues that are being happening, and there are a lot of damage that is being happening to our own health and also the planet because of consumption of more meat and meat products. But still, human beings continue to eat more and more meat and inviting more and more pandemics. So that's why maybe in this context also, and various other factors that is contributing, even World Health Organization and United Nations and other organizations have predicted there will be at least one pandemic in a decade. In every 10 years, there will be something like COVID, where people have to suffer because they are consuming meat. So unless and until we change our habits and lifestyle, health habits, food habits, for the well-being of not only for us, for the entire planet, these changes will become more and more evident and will impact and create more disasters. This is all because of the sins committed by us and because of our irresponsible behavior and irresponsible lifestyle that we are living, that is causing not only harm to us, but also to the entire planet. Though we have alternative food materials, but we are still consuming meat, and that too, we are eating wild animals also, wild birds also. So that is also contributing to these zoonosis diseases. So today, World Zoonosis Day commemorates the work of French biologist Louis Pasteur on 6 July 1885. Pasteur successfully administered the first vaccine against rabies a zoonotic disease. This year, a new assessment offers 10 recommendations on how to prevent and respond to future pandemics. A report titled Preventing the Next Pandemic, Zoonotic Diseases, and How to Break the Chain of Transmission has been launched on World Zoonosis Day. As the COVID-19 pandemic continues to take lives and disrupt economies across the world, a new report warns that further outbreaks will emerge unless governments and individuals take active measures to prevent another zoonotic diseases from crossing into the human population, and sets out 10 commandments to prevent future pandemics. So it is the individual responsibility and also the responsibility of the governments to enact laws and also implement them so that the people don't eat much of meat products and also go into wild and consume wild meat products and related products. So the report is a joint effort by the United Nations Environment Programme and the International Livestock Research Institute, ILRA. It identifies 7 trends driving the increasing emergence of zoonotic diseases, including increased demand for animal protein, a rise in intense and unsustainable animal farming, the increased use and exploitation of the wildlife, and the climate crisis. The report finds that Africa in particular, which has experienced and responded to a number of zoonotic epidemics, including most recently Ebola outbreaks, could be a source of important solutions to quell future outbreaks. So 7 human-mediated factors have been identified in the report as most likely driving the emergence of zoonotic diseases. So what are these 7 human-mediated factors? Because these are 7 factors which human beings are contributing in creating and in emerging of more and more pandemics. See, these human beings are notorious criminals. They themselves do not change unless and until they pay for that. And they are inviting pandemics every decade, and now and then they are not willing to change their own habits, food habits, lifestyle habits, and inviting more and more pandemics to suffer. I think human beings are destined to suffer rather than being destined to change their lifestyle for the well-being of themselves and the planet. We'll see in coming days whether this is true or not, whether people will change for a better planet and better health and well-being, or people will continue to suffer. The time will decide. So increasing human demand for animal protein, unsustainable agriculture, intensification, increased use and exploitation of wildlife, unsustainable utilization of natural resources, accelerated by urbanization, land use change and extractive industries, increased travel and transportation, changes in food supply, and climate change all are contributing to the pandemics. So let's watch a short video. That will throw us some light about pandemics.
Circularity keeps materials at their highest possible value throughout the value chain. Circularity builds upon 8 value retention loops and one guiding principle of reduce by design. Let's look at each of these circular processes, from the most impactful to the least. Users can minimize their impact on the planet through their consumption choices, such as refusing unnecessary products and reducing how much and how often we buy, and reusing what we have for longer. When a product doesn't work anymore, its lifetime can be extended, while minimizing impact and cost by repairing broken parts or defects, refurbishing it to increase or restore its performance, or remanufacturing it to fix it in an industrial process to become as new again. At the end of the product's use phase, materials can be turned into something useful again. They can be repurposed into a unique product with a new functionality. Or they can be recycled to provide materials for creating new products. These 8 circular processes can be impactful only if the overall principle of reduce by design is applied. Design influences the full life cycle of materials, products, and services by requiring less raw material during production and use, and anticipating their lifetime extension and their sound disposal at the end of use. Circularity is the breakthrough we need. Learn more about circularity by visiting unep.org/circularity.
We must now disconnect our economic activities from an increased use of natural resources. Without urgent and concerted action, increasing and inefficient use of natural resources will continue to create unsustainable pressures on the environment. The world is fighting 3 interlinked environmental crises: climate change, biodiversity loss, and pollution. These crises are a direct consequence of our unsustainable consumption and production habits. Circularity challenges our current economic model towards a healthier and more sustainable future. Circularity keeps materials at their highest value throughout the value chain for as long as possible. It requires a profound transformation of the way we design, make, use, and discard products. When supporting circularity, governments and businesses make cost-efficient investments to address the triple planetary crisis. Jobs are improved as we switch to greener, more equitable and sustainable economies. Circular solutions enable biodiversity to thrive as fewer natural resources are required and pollutants and wastes are better managed. Circularity must be inclusive to benefit the environment and the well-being of all, leaving no one behind. It requires cooperation among all of us: businesses, governments, finance, researchers, civil society, and individuals. Circularity practices need to support more responsible consumption and help to avoid more inequalities among societies. Circularity requires creativity. Circularity is a way to achieve sustainable consumption and production and other sustainable development goals. Circularity is the breakthrough we need. Visit unep.org/circularity.
So the report also identifies the following key messages for decision makers based on the evidence in the scientific assessment. About 60% of human infections are estimated to have an animal origin. Of all new and emerging human infection diseases, some 75% jump species from other animals to people. Most described zoonoses happen directly, example via the food system. The frequency of pathogenic microorganisms jumping from mother animals to people is increasing due to unsustainable human activities. Pandemics such as COVID-19 outbreak are a predictable and predicted outcome of how people source and grow food, trade and consume animals and alter environments. Diseases are emerging more frequently from animals. Rapid action is necessary to fill the science gap and fast track the development of acknowledged and tools to help national governments, business, the health sector, local communities, and other stakeholders, especially those with limited resources, to reduce the risk of future pandemics. Emerging zoonotic diseases threaten human and animal health, economic development, and the environment. The greatest burden of zoonotic diseases is borne by poor people, but emerging infectious diseases impact everyone, with monetary losses of emerging infectious diseases much greater in higher income countries. Given that a single zoonotic outbreak incurred trillions of US dollars in cost across the globe, prevention is significantly more cost effective than response. COVID-19 is just one example of rising trends of diseases, from Ebola to MERS to West Nile and Rift Valley fevers, caused by the virus that have jumped from animal hosts into the human population. A new assessment offers 10 recommendations and identifies One Health as the optimal way to prevent and respond to the future pandemics. The rising trend in zoonotic diseases is driven by the degradation of our natural health environment through land degradation, wildlife exploitation, resource extraction, climate change, and other stress. As COVID-19 pandemic continues to take lives and disrupt economies across the world, a new report warns the further outbreaks will emerge unless government take active measures to prevent other zoonotic diseases from crossing into human population, and sets out 10 recommendations to prevent future pandemics. The report, Preventing the Next Pandemic Zoonotic Diseases and How to Break the Chain of Transmission, which is a joint effort of United Nations Environment Program and the International Livestock Research Institute. It identifies trends driving the increase of emergence of zoonotic diseases, including increase in demand for animal protein, a rise in intense and unsustainable farming, the increased use and exploitation of wildlife, and the climate crisis. The report finds that Africa in particular, which has experienced and responded to the number of zoonotic epidemics, including most recently to Ebola outbreaks, could be source of important solutions to quell future outbreaks. The science is clear that if we keep exploiting wildlife and destroying our ecosystems, that we can expect to see a steady stream of these diseases jumping from animals to humans in the years ahead. Pandemics are devastating to our lives and our economies. And as we have seen over the past months, it is the poorest and most vulnerable who suffer the most. To prevent future outbreaks, we must become much more deliberate among protecting our natural environment. A zoonotic disease or zoonosis is a disease that has passed into the human population from an animal source. COVID-19, which has already caused more than 500,000 deaths around the world, most likely originated in bats. But COVID-19 is only the latest in growing number of diseases, including Ebola, MERS, West Nile fever, and Rift Valley fever, whose spread from animal hosts into human populations have been intensified by anthropogenic measures. Every year, some 2 million people, mostly in low and middle-income countries, die from neglected zoonotic diseases. The same outbreaks can cause severe illness, deaths, and productivity losses among livestock populations in the developing world. Major problem that keeps hundreds of millions of small-scale farmers in severe poverty. In the last 2 decades alone, zoonotic diseases have caused economic losses of more than $100 billion, not including the cost of COVID-19 pandemic, which is expected to reach $9 trillion over the next few years. African countries have an opportunity to lead pandemic prevention efforts. Zoonotic diseases are on the rise everywhere on the planet, and African countries, a number of which have successfully managed deadly zoonotic outbreaks, have the potential to leverage this experience to tackle future outbreaks through approaches that incorporate human, animal, and environmental health. The continent is home to large portion of world's remaining intact rainforest and other wildlands. Africa is also one of the home of the world's fastest growing human population, leading to an increase in encounters between livestock and wildlife, and in turn, the risk of zoonotic diseases. The situation on the continent today is ripe for intensifying existing zoonotic diseases and facilitating the emergence and spread of new ones. But with their experiences with Ebola and other emerging diseases, African countries are demonstrating proactive ways to manage disease outbreaks. They are applying, for example, novel risk-based rather than rule-based approaches to disease control, which are best suited to resource-poor settings. They are joining up human, animal, and environment expertise in proactive One Health initiatives. The report authors identify the One Health approach, which unites public health, veterinary, and environmental expertise as the optimal method for preventing as well as responding to the zoonotic diseases, outbreaks, and pandemics. There are 10 recommendations the report identifies, 10 practical steps that governments can take to prevent future zoonotic diseases. Investing in interdisciplinary approaches, including One Health, expanding scientific inquiry into zoonotic diseases, improving cost-benefit analysis of interventions to include full cost accounting of societal impacts of disease, raising awareness of zoonotic diseases, strengthening monitoring and regulation practices associated with zoonotic diseases, including food systems, incentivizing sustainable land management practices, and developing alternatives for food security and livelihoods, that do not rely on the destruction of habits and biodiversity, improving biosecurity and control, identifying key drivers of emerging diseases in animal husbandry, and encouraging proven management and zoonotic disease control measures, supporting the sustainable management of landscapes and seascapes that enhance sustainable coexistence of agriculture and wildlife, strengthening capacities among health stakeholders in all countries, and operationalizing the One Health approach in land use and sustainable development planning, implementation, and monitoring, among other fields. The report launch came on World Zoonosis Day, observed by research institutions and non-governmental entities on 6 July, which commemorates the work of French biologist Louis Pasteur. On 6 July 1885, Pasteur successfully administered the first vaccine against rabies, a zoonotic disease.
The majority of emerging diseases today are shared between humans and animals, causing wide-reaching impacts on health systems and economies globally. To strengthen global public health, a greater focus is required on the interface between human and animals, and progress must be made in collaboration between veterinary and public health sectors. In its emergency program, the World Health Organization has a team focusing specifically on the human-animal interface. The HAI team works with partners, regional offices, and member countries to propose guidance, methods, and operational tools to help countries build collaborative capacity. The team created and uses national bridging workshops to help sectors evaluate the strengths and weaknesses of their collaboration, plan improvements through the development of a joint roadmap, as well as facilitating its implementation. With OIE and FAO, the team also co-developed the Tripartite Zoonosis Guide and helps member states implement it at country level through a wide range of practical tools, such as the JRA for sectors to jointly assess risks for zoonotic diseases, the MCM to help national governments establish their multi-sectoral coordination mechanisms, or the REPREP to conduct an exercise to test and improve joint response during zoonotic disease outbreaks. The work of the WHO's Human-Animal Interface Team is critical in ensuring collaboration between the human and animal health sectors and supporting countries towards a One Health approach for global health security.
So, as we have seen, the day World Zoonosis Day aims to shed light on diseases that originate in animals and that can be transmitted to humans. In a study of CDC, 60% of all existing infectious diseases are zoonotic, and at least 70% of the emerging infectious diseases originate in animals. Rabies is one just example of many zoonotic diseases. Avian influenza, Ebola, and the West Nile virus are some other examples that have been discovered over the years. Zoonotic pathogens can be viral, bacterial, or parasitic and can spread to humans through direct contact or indirectly through food, water, or the environment. It may even spread through an intermediate species. It does not just originate from the wild animals like bats or monkeys. It can also come from pets and farm animals. The use of antibiotics in animals raised for food increases the potential for drug-resistant strains of zoonotic pathogens. That's why animals have an important role in zoonotic infections. As there are many types of zoonotic diseases, there are also many types of treatment, such as antibiotics. Some practices can help prevent the spread of foodborne zoonotic diseases, like safe guidelines for animal care in the agriculture industry, having access to clean drinking water, and proper waste removal are effective ways to reduce spread of diseases. Vaccinating household pets and maintaining proper hygiene, like washing your hands after close contact with animals, can also help. Protecting and managing the health of animals and that live alongside humans is vital. When we prevent diseases in animals, we safeguard the health of the people. Researchers have found that the bats carry the highest number of unknown pathogens that can infect humans. And certainly there are over 250 known zoonotic viruses, but many more to be waiting to be discovered. In a recent study from January to April 2021, rabies recorded the highest number of deaths at 88.31%. So keep your pet vaccinated, get yourself vaccinated, and support a pet shelter. Vaccinating animal protects them as well as the people who spend time with them, and it is a 100% preventable disease. Tens of thousands of victims die every year. Asia and Africa have the most infections. Dogs are the main source for humans. They are the main source of rabies deaths, contributing up to 99% of all transmissions to humans. Washing a wound from contact with a suspected rabid animal with soap and water may save a life. Thorough washing of a wound is important. Of those bitten by suspected rabid animals, 40% are children, under 15%. Today, we are also commemorating Virtually Hug a Virtual Assistant Day in US. In this digital age, more and more jobs can be found outside physical office. Companies big and small are embracing the non-traditional way of running their organization remotely. Staff now meet online instead of more traditional face-to-face. This day is also dedicated to those who make a career out of making sure their client's business runs smoothly and virtually. Sir Isaac Pitman's invention of the shorthand method led to beginners of the secretarial service industry. His secretarial school only accepted men until the intervention of the typewriter. This allowed the entry of women into the industry who dominated these jobs until men were completely eased out by 1930s. As technology progressed, typewriters gave way to word processing systems, telephones, and fax machines. With the dawn of internet, business transactions could be made sitting thousands of miles away. The digital revolution ushered the birth of virtual industry, and Anastasia Brick spoke with life coach Thomas Leonard and described the workshed program for him as virtual assistants in 1996. She worked as his full-time secretary from home, using internet to provide such services as personal assistance, administrative support, and travel planning. She called herself a virtual assistant, and this gave rise to emerging profession that continues today. A virtual assistant or VA provides services to the business remotely. They are usually assigned administrative and clerical tasks, but also assigned with other virtual assistants can work for multiple companies or dedicate themselves to one employer. Many people are doing it as a side job too for some extra cash. The work engagement is beneficial to both parties, as business are free to engage with VAs only to degree they need, and the VA has the opportunity to pursue their personal goals while earning from home. With more and more services going online, the role of virtual assistants will grow in future. Today is also commemorated as Umbrella Cover Day. It is meant to celebrate everything, every day. Find a new appreciation for your new umbrella cover by celebrating Umbrella Cover Day. This is often overlooked part of umbrella. Umbrella covers often find themselves in the back of closets, in drawers, or in trash, forgotten and unused. Then we get a new umbrella and the cycle repeats itself. The little sleeves, slip covers, cases, shirts, whatever this may be, deserve our recognition. Today is also commemorated as Thirsty Thursday, which was started by college students who would party on the campus, but today, of course. So it is celebrated by everyone who likes to have a good time and live it up. Since Thursday is also close to the weekend, Thursday, Saturdays always sets a tone for the weekend full of having fun, drinking and eating. This is a great way to meet your friends, relax and have a good time. And if you really enjoy celebrations, you can continue to observe them throughout the year. Bring out party hats for Thursday. Today is also commemorated as Take Your Webmaster to Lunch Day, and is a vital importance, especially in the day and age of internet. We all have been there. You might be running short on time, but the website keeps freezing, and if you don't get XYZ done on time, it's game over. This is why a webmaster can help you. Using complex programming languages and coding, a webmaster or a web developer can make you surfing the internet. For example, people like you, and easier and simpler. And webmasters not only train extensively, but if they could continue learning and growing as a professionals throughout Webmasters not only train exclusively, but they continue learning and growing as professionals throughout their careers due to constant technological advances. Such rigorous training calls for a day of appreciation for them. Take them out for lunch or express your gratitude to them in some other way for their tireless contributions. A webmaster, to put simply, is a person who deals in creating and maintaining efficient websites, also known as web architects, web developers, site authors, or website coordinators. Companies and organizations hire them to showcase the company brand on a large scale. This could be through company websites that give information about the organization, its goals, and employees, or customer websites where people can come to buy brand products. The website would be considered usable and successful if the customer is able to navigate without facing problems like freezing or there not been any specific problem. Furthermore, once a website is built, it's the job of the webmaster to ensure that it works fine. Today is also commemorated as National Anti or National Air Traffic Control Day in US. Though this day is held especially on this day because it is the anniversary of the day the air traffic control system was established. And there are inform and ask your parents. The Senate Joint Resolution 188 designated this day as National Air Topic Complaint Day to create awareness about the United System nation appears airspace system and to reaching to them express their gratitude and respect for the air traffic control personnel by keeping them safe as a travel. President Ronald Reagan proclaimed the day on July 6th is always a British schedule. So MIP Day, it stands for Mizo MHE Insukwan Paul, which means binding women together. The MHIP is the largest NGO in the Mizoram state and the only NGO dedicated to the women's welfare. Through philanthropic activities, philanthropic social work and local advocacy, the MHIP uplifts the women of Mizoram and educates them on their rights. They also equip them with vocational rights and skills and group courses to give Indian women a foundation of independence and a sense of feeling capable. So today is also commemorated as Kupala Night, which is a very old day celebrated and commemorated with Slavic culture, as its history is rooted in pagan traditions and Christianized in many parts of the world, but still the tradition remains largely pagan and hasn't changed much over the centuries. It is also known as the name Ivan Kapula, Apula night is observed a pagan fertility rite day where young couples participate in several rituals related to this day. Western Slavic countries also observe this day at St. John's Day, the feast day for the John the Baptist. And this is a pagan fertility rite day celebrating the largest, shortest night of the year. Most rituals are associated with love or finding a lover. Some rituals are aimed at couples to prove their love. An example would be couple jumping across a bonfire together to prove their love and loyalty to each other. Slavic people believe that this is only night when ferns bloom. So maidens and garlands in their hair enter the forest in search of some fern plants, and boys will follow them. Fern flowers are believed to have produced good luck. Some other traditions include swimming, collecting herbs, and floating bread made from flowers. Today is also commemorated as International Kissing Day. It is not only about French kissing or your significant other, but also brings closer in general. The main idea behind it was so many people have forgotten their simple pleasures associated with kissing for his kissing sakes. As opposed to kissing as mere formality, kissing can be enjoyable experience in and itself. Is an expression of love and intimacy only if other person also feels so. Otherwise, can also today is also Capital City Day in Kazakhstan, which is an official public holiday as it was founded in 2009 to honor Kazakhstan capital city Nur Sultan, formerly known as Astana. It falls on the birthday of former President Nuru Sultan Nazarbayev. Kazakhstan Supreme Council passed a resolution relocating the country's capital from Almaty to Akmola on May 6, 1998. Akmola was renamed as Astana and elevated to the status of the capital city. On July 18, 2008, the government passed legislation declaring Capital Day a state holiday. Today is also commemorated as anniversary of the coronation of the king Mindaugas in Lithuania, also known as Statehood Day, and is considered a national holiday. Lithuanians remember their first and only king of Lithuania, Mindaugas, a person who exceeded his era in political strategy, mentality, and spiritual strength. In 2003, the 750th anniversary of his coronation was celebrated with a series of cultural events, including operas, folk music, Today is also commemorated as Bedenkelem in the Meghalaya, which is observed annually from July 6th to 9th. It is one of the most important religious festivals held in Jovai, Jaintia Hills. Rituals are conducted to banish evil spirits and revelry continues for 3 days. Tribal communities from the district of Meghalaya of Nematri, faith or Hinduism all come together to pray for a successful harvest. Ved and clam is made up of following three words: Be, meaning to get rid of; Dain, meaning wood or log; and Clem, meaning plague. So taken together, a world means to get rid of the plague. It primarily held before the rainy season and at the end of the sowing season. So it begins with the sacrifice of a pig to Nia Piradat, the god of thunder. A priest was or Vasan then rings a bell and walks to the sacred forest. Villagers then collect fallen tree trunks, leave them in the woods, and then bring back home with much fanfare. The trunks are erected in each locality among homes. A vibrant part of this festival is the ruts or rods, tall structures, each locality and among homes. A vibrant part of the festival. Decorated bamboo with color paper, tinsel, symbols, and messages that each village creates. A group of young men carry the rods to the Aichnar or a sacred pool and throw them into the waters as an offering to the gods. A game similar to football using a wooden ball called the Laukar is also played. So the winners are said to gain special blessings from the gods for coming months. Everyone also participates enthusiastically in singing and folk dancing. There are even a symbolic killing of demons in the ritual called Cheringa Play. The thatched hut made of grass is built and male tribe members come into its holding spears, killing the demons inside it. On the last day, a priest visits each home in town with a group of youths who climb the roofs and beat them with a bamboo stick. This is believed to chase evil spirits. The whole festival is a testament to the valuable connection between man and nature, which the people of Jaintia continue to celebrate every year after year. So with this, we shall end the commemorations for today. Thank you everyone for joining us. We request everyone to quickly fill up the feedback form. And those who have not registered for today's sessions, we request you to register using the form which has been shared in the chat box. So see you all tomorrow. Take care. Good night.